like there's no free lunch, so you exactly. So so when I realized that I was pregnant, I told Grace, who was his neighbor, that this has happened, and he was like, well, it was just dinner one dinner, and it was like I ought to have protected myself. I ought to have had protection. I mean, I had gone to dinner. I didn't go there thinking, something was going to happen. So and because he worked for Lonro, Anglo-American company, he said he was going to come and see me and see you. I knew he used to come a lot to England, and he didn't look me up.
I have a question that you're just going to tell the camera the answer to. With all of that, how were you not able to have resentment towards men? That is that because for me, like, I feel like I hold the resentment, or I have held the resentment that you never did.
No.
So I want to know how you did that, Mummy.
I had it for. It wouldn't be fair to say I didn't have a resentment. I had, but in the end, I decided it wouldn't get me anywhere.
Right. How old were you with that revelation? What would you say was your age range around the revelation, knowing that resentment would not help you to prosper or change the circumstance?
I think it was my early 20s. I think also, even though I'm a pastor's daughter, I really didn't accept Christ until maybe I was 20, 21.
Okay.
And it was at that stage that I decided that nobody owes me any happiness. I have to make myself happy. I have to be happy on my own and not depend on other people to make me happy. And I remember my 21st birthday, I was in Malawi, I was in Plantain, and a very wealthy man, threw a birthday party for me. And I decided, although he was wealthy, there was no spark.
Right.
I decided to just tell him that it's not going to happen.
Right.
Thank you very much for the party you've done for me, but we can't.
Right.
Yeah. I think I decided when I became a Christian, I decided to live in integrity. Tell the truth.
You better talk to them, Mummy.
Tell the truth. Just tell the truth. If you don't feel it, just say it. But then sometimes circumstances make you just pretend all is well when it isn't. Circumstances like when you came up and you were fostered and I needed to take you places and I didn't have a car. And so when somebody with a car came along, I just went with the flow because I needed the transport. And most of the time I was unhappy. I knew I wasn't living in integrity. But eventually I told the person.
Okay. Yeah, and that's my step-papa.
Yes, I told him that, listen, you need to find somebody who's going to love you and also another thing we had, the problem was he was bent on staying here in England, and I've always wanted to go back to Africa.
Right.
And he wasn't going to go to Africa. So I was like, we're wasting each other's time.
Right.
And I told him that.
Right.
But he couldn't. He wasn't able to let go. He.
Scorpio.
Yes, he went and he kept coming back, and he would leave and he would come back. But I had told him the truth. I was happy that I had told him the truth.
Right. So regardless of somebody else's behavior, as long as you stay in your integrity,
yes,
you can't control what everybody else does
that's
after
right.
that.
That's right.
Okay.
It worried me for a long time that I wasn't being truthful with him. But eventually I told him that, listen, it's never going to amount to anything, whatever we have.
Mm-hmm.
Find somebody. And he did find somebody, but he kept coming back and complaining about this somebody. So,
God.
Say.
Because Aries were the best. At the end of the day.
Said she's always in bed, don't want to do anything. It's like, you need to develop some tolerance, mate.
So would you say that in all relationships, tolerance is the key to maintaining long-term...
Tolerance.
I hate that word!
Tolerance and integrity.
Tolerance and integrity.
Yeah.
So integrity, when we say integrity, just for those in the back, that basically means be truthful with yourself.
Exactly. Be trustworthy.
Right.
Say and do what you mean. Don't say things you don't mean. That's integrity.
Wow. And that's more, and most of the time it's integrity to self. You need to hold that integrity to yourself, not to anybody else.
You can't, somebody else's integrity is theirs. Where now you need to maintain your integrity, You can't control what other people do or say out there, but you have to be a woman of your word.
Right.
And even when there's a big something brewing out there and they're saying, Mandy said this, somebody ought to say, no, it can't be true. That's not the Mandy I know.
So you're saying that people who love you need to also have integrity even when you're not in the space.
Absolutely. They need to defend you because they know your integrity.
Woo!
They know your level.
Tell them.
They know your level of integrity. So that if somebody says, Mandy said this, somebody ought to say, no, that can't be true. Mandy is not that way inclined.
Just to let you know quickly, guys, the only person that can call me Mandy is my mum. Yeah? None of y'all better come with that. Do not. Okay? All right. Just so that we're clear. But yes, that's amazing, Mummy. I want to get another question from them lot. And so the next question is it worth bringing new life into this world in these times?
Bringing a new life in this world. You're not bringing a new life to the world. You're bringing a new life for you. You're going to have.
Can you say that one more time, please?
You're not bringing a life. You're not bringing a life into the world for the world. You're bringing a life into the world for you. Do you want a life in your world? In your space?
Wow.
If the answer is yes, then you have it. If the answer is no, then you shouldn't get involved in situations that will get you in a position where you're having to bring a life into the world.
Wow, that's a great answer, Mama. That's a great answer. I want to go back though to when you said that when you got into your faith and how the question is, how did your faith assist you in creating your own happiness?
I don't know. It probably did unconsciously. It wasn't something that I was conscious of. Oh no! Now I'm a Christian. Now I have to behave this way. No, it was in the subconscious it was like I need. It was in the subconscious, in the fact that I needed to know where I came from, and and um, and never forget my roots, because some people, when they get better lives, they forget where they came from. I needed to always remember my roots. I always, this is why the first thing I did when I came to England, uh, the moment I could, I sent some stuff home to take care of the people I had left behind, because I knew we didn't grow up well off.
Okay.
So maybe my Christian spirit was responsible for that way of thinking.
Because I've always wondered about it, Mum.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Because for me, obviously being first generation born here, I have always struggled with the fact that you spent a lot of your time and your money and your resources giving them to other people.
Yeah.
I've always struggled with that.
Yeah.
And so, especially being, although I'm not an only child, obviously you have two of us, but growing up, so to speak, as an only child, not having to share my resources, not having to, do you know?
Yeah.
So it's been really,
that started even before I got born again. Let me put it that way. Because when my brother first got married, I mean, I wasn't 21. I was still under 20. When he got married, I was the one who bought all the dresses for the bridesmaids and stuff.
Where did you get the money from?
I was working. I was working. So I felt that it was my responsibility to help him. He really financially wasn't ready to get married, because
Right.
even the lobola was paid by my dad.
Right.
So he really wasn't ready financially to. He never was. He never was. Even after he got married, I still helped him with bringing up his children.
Wow. So when it comes to, we've got a massive problem. We spoke about it when we was downstairs. We've got a massive problem with my generation, or the culture at the moment, cutting off parents. Now, guys, don't come for me, because you already know that I know that some of y'all have had some very traumatic experiences with your parents. However, I've always fought for the very mere fact, that's Rio just messaged us. That's my little cousin. So my mum's little brother's son. So basically, I've always tried to encourage you guys to have some compassion for your parents. The very mere fact that they just did the best that they could with the information that they had. I mean, my mum was a very young girl when she first had her first child. I was only 20 when I had my daughter. And so we were very immature. We had a bunch of trauma. Do you understand? So, Mummy, my question is, how does my generation go about having more compassion and forgiveness for your generation?
First of all, to even think that you need to have compassion for us, because we didn't care for you enough, or what?
And I think a lot of people in the community or the collective feel that their parents were neglectful, or their parents were unavailable emotionally, or that their parents didn't give them the life or the nurturing that they felt they deserved.
Our generation, we didn't have parents who showed love. We didn't have parents who hugged. We didn't have parents who kissed and did stuff like that. And so as parents ourselves, it was something we had to learn. It was a learned behavior. We didn't grow up with parents who were that way inclined. But having said that, we never thought they were not hugging us, they were not kissing us because they didn't love us.
Right.
We always knew they loved us.
Right.
We always knew we were wanted when we were born.
Right.
So we didn't have any, and also the discipline was pretty harsh from our parents. Even if you thought it was a small mistake that you made, the punishment never fitted the crime.
Right.
They were very harsh, and we got real thorough hidings. I mean, I escaped that because I was the only girl among boys, so
Right.
I was my dad's darling. So I never got any beating. I got it once when just as I became a teenager. Some of the teenage things that people do.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see he was very remorseful afterwards, after he had done it. He never did it again.
Right. So I feel like this is where a lot of people are struggling, where maybe they may have had harsh punishments from their parents and the parents not having any remorse. So therefore, it's really difficult for them to forgive.
But the thing is, you ought to. Well, you don't have to think that way. If you think about it in the same way that I've just discussed, that we were not brought that way. We were not hugged. I mean, if you could say the parent is sorry, but he would never. My father would never say, "Look, I'm sorry for what I did." He never said. He never said it.
Right. And so therefore, obviously, you as parents, this whole idea of this soft parenting, where you are to apologize to the child for the mistakes that you make, because we don't get a handbook, y'all. We don't get a handbook with parenting.
True.
So the mistakes that we make are the mistakes that we make, and if we can't say sorry at the time, generally because we don't even know that that's a thing.
Exactly. Another thing, really, especially for moms, it's I think it's imperative for this generation, this young generation, to realize that moms now have access to things that could have happened for you not to be around.
Right.
So if the parent decided,
You mean joke, mommy?
exactly, if the parent decided he was going to go abort you and wanted you, and for you to turn around and think this parent doesn't love me, especially mom. I know dads will probably just be donors and go away, but moms, through thick and thin, they will be with you and go. Labor pains are not a joke, and so if she went through that and kept you alive until you're deciding whether things are right or wrong, be careful.
No, and the thing is as well, I know why she's laughing. First of all, this is my mum, I'm her fruit. So we are connected still by the umbilical cord. And I know as a child of my mother, I made her life a bit miserable because I've had these very notions that she should be doing more or she wasn't doing enough. So that when I had my child, that was the time for me to find out. So that's why she's saying to you, be careful. Be careful, because when you have your own, the things that you thought were not right you not only will perpetrate those, but your child that you have will come and tell you about yourself. No matter how much you think you're not making the same mistakes as your parent. Am I wrong, Mama?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
We're just being clear here. We're just being very transparent.
Some of it is karma.
Some of it is karma. And I think that there was a theme, Mummy, that said that having children is a karmic experience, whereby you have to experience certain karmic lessons through your own children. So, and that's the truth, right? And I can definitely say that in my experience, like, Mum, you've heard me and my mum are really transparent about the way I was raised. And in the beginning, my mum being a single parent in a country that she didn't know, I had to be fostered out. And that was one of the hardest things for both of us to overcome. First of all, I didn't comprehend how difficult that was for her as a mother, having to give me to strangers.
And
but then
just leave and hope all
is
well.
And sometimes all wasn't well.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes we had to learn to forgive the time and the circumstances, not each other. We had to learn to forgive the time and the circumstances. And sometimes I feel like some of y'all, you haven't forgiven the time or the circumstances, and you lay all the blame on the parent. And I'm speaking as a mother, I'm speaking as a daughter.
And forget about the circumstance.
Forget about the circumstance. Do you understand? Yes. So you guys, I want to thank my wonderful, beautiful mum for coming and doing this. And we should do it again. You guys, if you've got any more questions for this awesome, awesome goddess, yeah, I need you to hit me up. And we'll see you again soon. Mum, I'm so emotional. Thank you. That was beautiful. You killed it. See you lot later. Bye. Oh, wait. I've got one more question. And it's really important, Mummy, because there seems to be a mother wound amongst the masculines at this